Okay, if you haven't started doing this yet, I'm going to show you how easy it is to use AI to do the most magnificent things. And people do not want you to do this. They don't want you to know how easy it is. So let me show you real quickly how easy it actually is. So what we have here is a program called Cursor. Okay, I'll move it up into the screen. This is Cursor. Now Cursor wrote this app for me in about a minute. This app here, it made this whole thing in about a minute. Okay, and it's all I can customize the whole thing. I can put stuff in there, different pay rates, different tax calculations, different states, whatever you need, man. But it did this first initial thing in 1 minute, and I'll show you how. Okay, so the first thing you got to do is download this free software. It's called Cursor. So Cursor, download. I've already done all this, but let's do it for you. Cursor, the AI code editor, it's free. Right? Boom, boom, download for Mac or Windows, whatever. Right? Then, once you've downloaded it and installed it, you simply open it. Okay? And what you'll need to do, I'll take you through a couple of the more sort of technical parts, which are not really that technical at all. So we'll go to Documents. So what you need is you need to create a folder, and the folder is going to be where the app is stored. Okay, so I'm just going to put one directly on C drive. I used to put them in other folders and directories and stuff, but I don't worry about doing that anymore. So what we're going to do is create a new folder, and we're going to call it do do do. Right. It's not actually a good idea to have spaces in your folder names, but let's not get too technical with it right now. So we have a new folder there now. Okay, so now we're going to go back to Cursor. So when you first open Cursor, there's some things you can do to change settings to allow the agent to have more access to certain things and whatnot. And if you get stuck, you simply ask the cursor, how do I change permission, whatever, right? In there. But what we're doing here is something I'm just going to get you started. This is all about just getting you started. So we're going to open a folder and we're going to look for the folder we just created. Select folder. Okay. And check this out, guys. Check this out, guys. Okay. Now, see it's blank, so there's nothing in the directory, right? Because we haven't created anything yet. Right. Now there's features here you can play with, and the AI here will literally answer any questions for you. But the benefit of using Cursor is that not only can you ask questions to uh, Gemini, which is the Google one, GPT, which is OpenAI, and I think you can actually add APIs for other um, AI things like Grok and that as well, if you want. But this is Claude 3.7, which is fantastic, I'm telling you, as far as making apps for you. And Gemini is really good for doing sort of more complex stuff, but it is not very good at sort of brute forcing code, if that's the right term. So as your app gets bigger and more expansive, and has more complexities, you can switch it over to using Gemini. So now when I ask a question, it's talking to Gemini. And when you play around with this thing enough, you can actually force Claude to communicate directly to the Gemini app. So ask Gemini to create a tax calculator for my business. You can start doing that sort of thing, and then it'll start saying things like, "Oh, I can't do that because the settings, and I'm not allowed access." And then what you do is just say, I need. How do I create it? How do I give you permission for this? And it'll start telling you, "Oh, if you do this in your system settings and whatnot." And it'll get to a point where you actually have it so that it is able to do everything, right? Initially, by default, it doesn't let you. It doesn't. It's not allowed to do everything by itself. Okay, but the trick is you can ask it, how do I give you permissions? And Gemini is a lot more careful about that sort of thing. It's like, oh no, I can't do that, you know. But Claude's not. Claude's like, yeah, bro, just do this, cause bang, right? And if you don't know how to write the code, you don't know how to write the permissions settings, in your paths and stuff like that, it will just do it for you. All right. Or if it can't open, like it'll give you the simple instructions on just click on, type in command prompt here and da, 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 and then it'll say and copy paste this code into here, and you copy paste the code into here, right? And then bang, and it'll do all that stuff for you, right? So we're not doing that right now. We're just doing some simple stuff, okay, to get you off and running. And if you're not doing this, you are a retard. Everybody needs to be doing this, okay? This cuts out all those middlemen, all those marketing companies, a lot of those third-party application fees and all that shit gone, okay? So that's why it's extremely crucial. Anyone who's not telling you to do this for yourself is your enemy at the moment, okay? They are sucking you in. So take a look around you, brothers and sisters, and see who is not advising you to do this exact thing. They have an ulterior motive. Okay, so what we're going to do is simply create an app for me to calculate my business taxes. Now I could just stop there and it will give me something similar to that. That's what it did last time for me, alright? But I know I'm going to need more stuff, okay? So you can customize it for your business. So I've got 5 staff, one's a contractor, one works part-time, one's full-time, one's on this tax bracket, right? You just start adding that stuff. So what you do is you create a first thing and you come over here and you go, you just start testing it. So you start using it. But here's the cool thing. So normally you'd have to pay a web developer to do this sort of shit for you, right? A lot of money. Okay. Obviously, there are people who know how to use Excel and create their own calculations, but this is doing all of that work for you, creating all the formulas in Excel. That's what that is in the back end, really, using different scripts other than Excel. And this is the front end so it's like an Excel sheet with a front end built for you for better user interface, right? So, and of course, if it doesn't do something that you want it to do, you don't have to go to a developer anymore or a contractor in India. You can literally just come back into this is your developer, this is your contractor, right? You just come back in here and go, oh, I need my app, I need to add another employee to my app. Anyway, let's get started. So we'll start with that. We'll just start with something simple. You can actually write quite a long prompt. So I could say I have 6 employees and these are my products, and list your products and stuff so that it knows these are my prices for my products and stuff. And you can get it to do market analysis for you and everything. Alright, so it'll go and look at other products in the market. So you can check the prices, then you can check you can do analysis of other marketing campaigns, see how you it'll go and look online at the current marketing campaigns being run by your competitors in the same market. It'll do all that stuff for you. So from here, even though I'm starting with an app that says, create an app for me to calculate my business taxes, okay? See, now it's telling you what it's doing. I'll create a simple web-based business tax. Now, it doesn't have to be web-based either. I could say stop down here and then go, no, I want a desktop app, right? But we'll just let it create a web app because potentially this is a web-based product that you can sell to someone if you want to rip them off. Because really you should be telling them you can just do it yourself using Cursor, right? Now, there are other options coming out very quickly. This is escalating with these IDEs, to this Cursor IDE. It's so popular with developers and that because look, it just wrote all that code for me. That's one file written, right? But my point is, I think Google's coming in with the IDE now. GPT will have one soon. I don't know why Elon Musk and his mates haven't got one. They probably have under some other company. Now, see how it's asking me to accept the file edits and stuff like that? You can actually make it so that it will automatically accept. I don't have mine set up to do that at the moment because I do like to check which file it's editing, keep an eye on the code, rather than, because you do want to have your sort of head around the code and what it's writing and how it's doing it. So when you start getting more complex customizations and stuff, you can like specify. But my point is, if you just get started doing this, that's the first step. You've got to be doing this. If you're not doing this, you are literally a retard. Okay? Doesn't matter who you are. Alright? Okay, so to use this app, so it's already created it. Right? To use this app, simply open. So this is a normal web development thing. You don't need to know too much about this stuff. I'm not going to get into explaining it. There's no need to. But if I'll right click on there and open with live server. Bang! See, it's written another one for me. So I have this one here, which is written using React. And now I have. See how quickly that happened? Bang! Right. Now, just to give you an idea of how brilliant this thing is, it's like having a receptionist, it's like having an in-house web developer, it's just like having everything. Right? I need to add 5 staff members, and I don't know what tax brackets are in America in different states and what the rules and stuff are, but if you did have to have those things concerned, I need to add 5 staff members who work in California, and my company is based, mate, in, I don't know, let's just say, Connecticut. Right. Now it's going to calculate, it'll put all of that into thought as to what it's already written here, right? I'll enhance tax calculator to account for your staff members who work in California where your company is based in Connecticut. So, see, there you go, multi-state tax considerations. Told you, I just knew it would already know that. Alright, so now it's going to add all of those into the calculators. So at the moment it's a very simple app, okay? But, like you have just seen, I have now added a function for it to use multi-state tax brackets and whatnot, right? So it'll quickly, now it's updating the CSS. The CSS is the cascading style sheets, or basically the style. This is for older people who don't know this sort of thing, right? So yeah, so it's saying, is it okay to edit that file? I click yes, accept the edits. Right, and the red means that it's not working. That's because it's still fixing it. Okay, so when they're red and that's still going, it means it's still editing the file. So at the moment, I'm see those reds are the edits. Now normally when you're editing a website, you have to come in and edit those, like without using AI. You have to come in and edit them and check them and then test it on the front end up here, and then it won't work and you got to come back and then you got to do it again and add more code. Oh, I left a comma out here. But here we have AI doing the whole thing for us, right? So as I said, this is just a basic idea, but this is to get you started. Because if you're not doing this at the moment, if you haven't taken this first step, you are a retard. You should be doing this by now. Okay? Alright, so that's cursor. And one more really important thing is make sure you have good music on while you are doing this. Okay? So if you really want some aggressive coding, listen to some like drum and bass, neuro step drum and bass mix sets. Okay? And you will get a lot done very quickly. Although it gets real aggressive in the coding, right? Like rah rah rah, that's a vibe, you know. But if you want to like chill with a cup of coffee and do it properly and take your time, watch it more carefully, put something like this on. See, you got your little cat, you got the lo-fi chick there. Alright, this is how it's done. Alright. So, right, so now we come back over here to test the front end, we refresh the page, and now it's added in some more stuff. Okay, so this is just to get you started, that's a website right there, okay? Now as I said, I could make it a desktop app, So I could actually, let's just do it. Let's carry on. This is vibe coding. Let's carry on with the vibe. So make this into a desktop app for Windows. You'll have to specify what operating system you're using. Wants to convert the app. I'll convert the web-based text calculation into a Windows desktop application using Electron. So it will download all the necessary software for you. So I've got mine set up, like I said earlier, to automatically accept stuff in the background. Yours might not do that when you first download it, but if you have any difficulties, you literally just ask here. Now, you do need to be aware of if you're using agent or ask. Okay, so I have an agent will actually do the work for you. If it's only giving you answers in here and it's not actually doing any work for you, it's because you've got it on ask and not agent. Now it's free. You get like quite a few prompts for free to test it out, and I guarantee you'll probably want to buy the monthly plan. The monthly plan is about $20 a month, and it comes with these here. Okay, it comes with Claude. And it comes with Gemini, the Google one, and I'm surprised it's still free at the moment. Like, I mean, it's not free, but it comes with those included. And like I said, there are other options that have just come out in the last week or two, because this is a very aggressive market now. Creating what I've just showed you here using Cursor, other development companies are now like, oh, we need to be doing that too, right? So Google's working on one. There's quite a few coming out, but at the moment, as far as I can tell, Cursor is leading the way. They were kind of the first ones to jump on this. And I'll explain why. It's because it's based off VS Code. You don't need to download VS Code if you're using Cursor. But it's actually, this is, here, I'm going to move it up into this window. This is Cursor, which is, this is VS Code. Visual Studio Code, which is really pretty, it's an industry standard way. It's a really good tool that a lot of web developers use to build apps and websites and stuff like that. So as you can see, it's very similar to Cursor, right? Because it's open source software, so you're allowed, and you download apps or plugins for it. So I'm not going to get into extensions, sorry. So it's like, yeah, I mean, these are extensions and stuff. You don't need to worry about that so much. Not to get started, but you'll notice when you're using Cursor, this one here, this version of it here, it will quite often say it'll install things that it needs and stuff. So anyway, we decided we didn't want this to be a web-based app for my business to do taxes and add staff and products and stuff like that. So I wanted to just run it on my desktop. And of course, if it's a web-based app, you can add users and administration, but then you've got to start, and you'll probably want to do that, but you've got to be aware of security concerns, and you know, people could potentially hack into your system and stuff like that. So initially, you probably don't want to go down the road of adding users and stuff like that. You just want to have a desktop app, and if you need to give other people access to it, you can actually build that in quite quickly. But you see this here, my point about this whole thing is, look how easy all that is, right? So now it's a desktop app, right? So it's probably, I haven't used this to create a desktop app yet. I've successfully converted your web-based business tax calculator into a Windows desktop application using Electron. Here's what I've created. So it teaches you all the stuff as you go, right? And if you don't understand anything it said, you just simply say, what is Electron? Or what is a package.json, right? You just ask it questions and it'll start telling you. Okay. So to build and run the desktop application, install Node.js if you don't already have it installed. I do have all that installed. Now, obviously, I want to create a desktop icon for execute. dot, oh, goodness me. But it's pretty good at ignoring your typos and just getting it right. But see, that's my point, right? And what you'll notice is as you start reading these things and watching it, and you'll start to actually become a developer yourself, a project manager, right? You don't have to, this is why all developers are getting pissed off, because it's writing all the code for you, it's doing their job, this is what they do. So now you can just manage the project. So if you're an office manager, or a business manager, or a marketing manager, or something, this will do the marketing, it'll create your campaigns for Google, for social media, it will do anything. If you want to create bots that look like Natalie G. Winters and talk like her, and you can use this to do all of that. I don't. I used to joke about I was going to do all that sort of stuff, and I kind of, but I got to a point where I was like, I just don't need to, because that's a bigger thing to talk about that I'm not going to bother talking about in this video, but you need to be doing this. Stop being retarded, download the software. I just showed you how easy it is. It's real easy, and if you get stuck, just say, hey, how did you do that, or what does this mean, or whatever, right? And that's your project, that's your website, that's your app, okay? So if I go back into the documents folder, and I go into see, that's the app sitting on my local C drive, okay? Right. And let's quickly go back here to see if I've missed anything. I don't think I've missed anything, but it will tell you if it needs you to do something or whatever. Look, I'll show you. You can put this online for free as a website too, by the way. So if you do want to be able to access it online, rather than, so you can have it on your phone. So I've just told it to create a batch file, which is an execute file for a desktop shortcut, so I can run it on my laptop. But I could easily say to it now, okay, now create I could actually, like, how do I transfer this onto my telephone, onto my smartphone, right? And it'll zip it all up and make it so that you can put it on your smartphone. And then when you're traveling around talking to employees or whatever, business meetings, whatever, you can pull it up and they say to you, hey, I need to do this, right? And the app doesn't do it. You just simply then whip out your laptop and open Cursor and say, hey, can we edit the app so that it does this? And it'll add that function and that feature for you right there on the spot, bang. It's that brilliant. The only thing the only thing it's not capable of is stopping you from being a retard. So it really comes down to how creative you get with your prompts down here, and also you do have to understand it as it's going, because the better you get with your terminology of asking it to do the right things and create the right things, functions, features, like can you edit the CSS so that this window is better, and like, you'll start to learn things like inspect element over here, and so when you get more specific with the prompts, because you start to understand it a bit more, it will get better with you. I mean, it's already better than you, but sometimes it needs you to hurry up and learn and stop being so retarded. Okay, so stop being so retarded, you retard. I've just shown you how easy it is. There's my business calculator. I did it in a minute, mate. A minute! And not that long ago, in fact still, if you Google a web development company to start creating these calculators for you or whatever, you'll be paying a fortune for a front-end UI, your just user interface. So it's added those in there, Connecticut, right? So I could just say, could you add every state in America, right? And it'll do that. What are the tax rates in New Zealand at the moment? I've got a contractor in New Zealand, and I need to do this and this and this, right? I'll give you another heads up too. Alright, here's another heads up. One more thing before I finish off this video, right? So this is sort of important, I guess. So see, this is the README. So any developer who comes in to do work in this app, who doesn't know anything about the app, they normally read the README file to get a general idea of where the things are in the app to work on or whatever, right? So you can actually have a series of README files, alright? So what you'll notice is as you start adding more functions and features and stuff like that, you'll end up with more folders over here. So if I go new folder, let's say, no, actually we'll do it. I'll get Claude to do it. So create a folder with employee details. Use what do you call it? Standard data. What's the name for that? Oh my goodness, I forgot the name for it. Use. Someone's screaming at me through the screen at the moment. Use bullshit data. Placeholder data. So what you're going to notice is because as the app gets more functions and features and abilities, it does need to be organised over here. And one thing that Claude isn't exceptionally good at is organising in your directory structure over here, your folder structure and that. So that's what I've noticed is it ends up creating a whole lot of files and putting a ton of things into one file when really the bigger the app gets, as in more complex it gets, it really should be separated into different style sheets, different functions, folders and stuff like that. That's something you'll learn pretty quickly. So a heads up that it will be creating a whole lot of files and folders that work, don't get me wrong. But when it comes to further development and getting, refining the functions and features and abilities that it has, you'll find it starts to struggle a bit because it has to read these massive files. And so what you do every now and then is you basically, after you've done a section of work, like an hour or two of work on here, then what you do is you say, let's do a cleanup and revise all the code and create a more clean workspace. And that's where Gemini is good actually. Right, so I would switch over to Gemini for that, for Google, to get Google to come back through the project, look at it, and help you restructure and refine the directory structure. Yeah, so, okay, so to see what it's done now, this is how if I didn't tell it to create an employee folder, it would probably just include the employees individually in the calculations page. Right. See, it's creating a whole database schema. That's what this is, pretty much. Okay, so you can convert that into a JSON or SQL and then import that into host, which becomes your website database. So all that web stuff that used to be really complicated, it might sound a little bit complicated the way I'm talking about it, but probably not to a lot of people, but some people will be like, what are you on about? It's actually real easy, it's so easy. The only reason you don't understand it is because you just haven't started. So I've just shown you how this is easy now. It's easy. You've got if someone is taking money off you for your website or to manage something for you, like to do some calculation, or you're paying a monthly fee for some tax calculator, like I hate to say it, but some of those big companies out there that currently charge you for tax calculators and that, there's a couple of big New Zealand ones, for instance, that have made a lot of money out of people because they simply created a Excel formula and a user interface which looks something like this, right? And then they basically charged businesses $20 a month per employee to use it. That's how all these people became millionaires and billionaires, selling shit like that, like this, right? So stop being a retard. Okay, So my point here is, this is just giving you a bit of a heads up. This is something you'll have to keep an eye on, is making sure that you are actually cleaning up your workspace, and as you add more functions and features to your apps, right? So if you're 30, 40, 50 or 60, all of this is why developers are panicking. Right, because they don't want you to know how to do this shit. Now you don't have to know how to do this shit. Here it is. Okay, and you'll see a lot of people on YouTube, developers, laughing at this software. Some of them aren't, but some of them are, because they're going, oh, the code's real messy and it's all messy and shit, but it's not really. Like, the only thing that makes it messy is that if you don't keep an eye on this here, okay? So, like I was just saying before, if you don't keep an eye on this here, as you add more functions, more features, more abilities, more complexity to your app, so so I've got an employees folder now, okay? But let's say I have 10 employees that are in California, and 10 that are in Montana, and 10 that are in Washington, right? Really, I'm going to have a folder. I should have a folder in here that says employees, and then another folder, so another one that says California, right? Okay, and then I'd shift all, and then and if I was gonna, I can't just copy paste those into the California, because they are now linked to calculators down here and stuff, right? So that's where you'd normally get stuck, and you wouldn't be able to do it for yourself, and you'd have to go to a developer who would charge you probably $20,000 to do something like that, right? Because they have to go back through the calculator and say, when you're doing John Smith's calculation, you need to look in the Kelly folder, right? That's where the money used to be in web development, okay? But now that power and that money has been given back to you with the software, because now I can just come over here and say, John Smith works in California and Jane Doe works in Montana, and they have different tax rates, and John is part-time and Jane is full-time, and Natalie is a retard. Okay, so now, because you have created an employees folder and there is a Kelly folder there now, it will actually see that, and it'll go, oh, maybe I should create a folder called Montana and another one for Washington, and right? So you do kind of have to read it, understand it, and give it a bit of a helpful hand sometimes. Okay, so let's see if it uses this folder. It probably won't. Gemini would though, right? Now let's create a profile for Jane Doe from Montana. Okay, so you get the point. It's doing the work. It's doing all the code, all the calculations, all the functions, and that are being done. It actually, see, it didn't delete the index.html, so actually the web app, the web version of this desktop app is still there, working with it, right? But if I go to test it on the front end, and I notice, the front end's not including what the desktop app is including, then I just come back in here and I say, hey, the web app index.html is not doing what the web app is capable of doing. Can you check the code to ensure the web app is in line with the desktop app, right? And then it'll go, oh yeah, sure. And then it goes, and it looks through all the files and that, and it goes, oh, it's because we haven't connected A, B, and C. So then it connects A, B, and C into the index.html. And then if you decide you want to put the thing on a website, you just say, how do I put this thing free online as a website? Now, like I was saying, I don't really recommend you start getting into that immediately for sure, because you'll end up with security vulnerabilities where people can just walk straight into your employee data and all your company information. And if you start doing stupid things like not understanding how to store your bank information in here safely, you're going to end up with problems. Okay, so don't start doing that anytime soon. There is a problem with AI that hackers can use it to find more vulnerabilities now, faster too. So I think that's actually what happened with that 4chan. You can use AI to run very complex commands very quickly, and it can find patterns that you can't as a human. So it can find weaknesses and vulnerabilities in code, and so there's going to be some big problems coming up with people's websites getting taken down, data getting stolen. That's just around the corner. So if you're a business owner, or you work for a business owner, or you're the wife of a business owner, whatever, you at this stage don't put this stuff online, okay? Because there will be AI bots roaming around the internet right now looking for idiots who are just starting in this space, and they'll be looking for people who don't understand about how to secure these files and folders. Now, if these files and folders are on your local drive and you don't put them on a public server, as like a hosting company, website, whatever, you're much less likely to get attacked at this point. So just always keep security in mind, obviously. Okay, so I'm not actually creating this app. Okay, I was just doing it as a demonstration because this is something that a lot of business owners are going to need right now. They're already paying other companies horrendous monthly fees. Even they're just little monthly fees, but there's a lot of businesses paying these companies these little monthly fees. This is how we are going to shut down these big companies, and you might like the companies and but they've done such good things for me. No, they haven't. They're fucking wankers. Okay, excuse my language. Alright, they need to be shut down, and this is how they're going to get shut down. Put the power back in your kids' hands. If you don't have time to sit on your computer and do this, get your kids to do it. Alright? Stop giving your money away to strangers in foreign lands. Or even if it's a Kiwi company or an American company, you want to support them, the more you can do in-house, the better. Alright? So this cursor is how you're going to do that. Now, as far as your website goes, so, man, I'm giving a complete consultation here, right? So this piece of software that I've just written is a back-end office tax calculator, but I can very easily add my products into this, okay? So, and then I can turn it into a website, like an e-commerce website, okay? So we're not going to do that today, but I'm going to demonstrate because of the security things that I was just mentioning. But it doesn't take long to do it and to understand the security. And you can ask the software, hey, I'm really concerned about security. Can you help me install all of the necessary security, standard industry standard web features, security features, and then you can after Claude creates it, you want to double check it, so you go to Gemini to get a second opinion, like, can you check the security features that Claude just created for me, and it'll do all that. Now, let's take it a step further, why not? Because some of you might be really interested by this. Okay, so at the moment, it's a tax calculator with some employee information, and obviously you can expand on that and refine all that stuff for yourself. I'm just giving you this is a consultation, okay? So products. So let's add some products. Natalie G Winters. Obviously, I'm infatuated with her at the moment, so I just use her name on everything. Let's add some products. Natalie G Winters t-shirts and stickers. Use generic placeholder at the moment, and we want to put this data out in the front end web information for e-commerce. In other words, I want to sell my shit online, right? So this is getting a bit more, obviously pretty full on very quickly, but I just want to show you this is really easy to do, okay? So what it's going to do is it's going to build all the stuff in here to allow me to add all my products, okay? And then you're going to want to have a free Cloudflare account. There's other free hosting companies as well, obviously. At the moment, I would recommend learning and understanding how to use Cloudflare software and technology, because they're pretty advanced with a lot of stuff. So as far as the website, which is the front end, which would display the products and have buy now, click this and for the public on your domain name. So let's say you own nataliegwinters.com and you put all her t-shirts and stuff on there. You don't need the public to see all the staff information and stuff like that, although you can actually have a section on your website that says staff, and you simply say to cursor, can you put my staff names and profiles on the website front end? And it will boom, it'll create a my staff on your website front end, and all of a sudden there's all your staff information, so our team, right? And all of that is controlled here in this folder. Now that's cool. So this is the stuff that big web companies will charge $200,000 for, mate. Not even kidding, okay? You can buy templated stuff for maybe $20,000. Maybe you're lucky to get it for 10 grand. If you know what you're doing, you can get it for sort of 5 grand. But this is a game changer, because I've just devalued the entire web industry with this video on a scale that a lot of people can't comprehend. But web companies do not want you to understand this. They want you to be a retard. So don't be a retard. Okay? Okay, so anyway, now it's creating the CSS for all that stuff, right? So products. So see now, that's perfect. So I created a folder called products, but I didn't create the JSON. The JSON was like the data. Okay, it's a form of data. So see, look, here's all your product information. See, Shopify and all that. They don't want you to know this shit, mate. Alright. So I treat this stuff like meh, but it's high value stuff, and you really should be paying attention to what I'm showing you here. Okay, because the sooner you start doing this yourself, the sooner you're going to stop getting ripped off, and actually you can have a lot of success very quickly using this software, and it's free. Okay, so when I say free, it's free up to you're allowed to use it to a certain extent, as in they give you so many prompts. I paid the $20 a month, so I get, access. That's all it is, $20 a month, and you get access to these things here. $20 a month. Now, and because there's such a massive war in the AI space, these IDEs, this here, there's going to be more of these. They're going to have better features. They're going to be, because they're competing real hard at the moment. So you'll get little things like this come up. Okay, there's the default settings in Cursor and other IDEs. You can, so I can copy paste that and just say, what is this and how do I increase the limit? Or if you don't want to increase the limit without understanding what it is, you can say, what is the diff algorithm? Okay, and it'll explain it. And you go, what are the pros and cons of turning off the or giving it a higher maximum limit for the diff algorithm? Right. And that's how you'll learn. You'll learn real quickly. You'll get real fluid with this stuff. And yeah, I can't recommend it enough. Okay. Now, as I'm actually a web consultant, or I used to be. I used to sell. Right. So I really shouldn't be doing free videos like this. Well, I say that, but I used to educate the market. I wasn't interested in working on businesses. Right? It's real easy to pull the wool over a business owner's eyes if you want to, and just say, oh, good, real technical stuff, you know, you don't understand it because you're just a builder or a plumber or a hairdresser or whatever. So I'll do all that for you, and I already know that you have $20,000 because I used some tools to see what you're worth. But I'm not going to tell you that, but I already know you have 20 grand sitting in the bank for this sort of thing. So I'll just take 20 grand and then copy paste something and bank, done. That's how the web industry has worked for a long time. That's why I can't stand them. I hate them. I think they're disgusting pieces of shit. And this software can be used to put that money back into your pocket, so you can look after your own family and your own local community. So I know there are issues with AI and with bigger picture stuff and whatnot, but as far as I can tell at the moment, this is where you need to be. You have to be here, because at the moment you're just giving it all away to some wanker in another state, aren't you? You don't even understand it. Okay, so see, it's taken quite a while, so it's actually doing some pretty complex work in the background here to figure it out and install the front end. Because I've actually just asked it to do quite a big task, adding products to your business tax calculator, right? And then adding a front end for that to be put on the website. And the AI knows that you don't want your tax information on the website, so it's creating like different sections and whatnot, and only certain sections are going to be put on the front end website. And obviously, you know, when you're ready to put it on the website, you go to cloudflare.com and you can host your website for free on cloudflare.com. Right, this is the way things are going, and if you're not doing this, there is something seriously wrong with you. You're going to be put out of business real fast. Okay. So it says could not resolve URL, blah blah blah. Product images. So if you're having an error like that, you literally just say, hey, what's this error about? How do you fix it? And it might say, oh, you need to go and set this up, and you know, you just keep saying, you can end up forcing it to do these things. I've already been through that with this particular, this isn't a fresh download of Cursor, so it's already, I've already forced it to make it do stuff that it's not supposed to do, quote. Yeah, so look, so now we've got the store, right, products, so it's done all this, mate. Now, it's not going to work immediately. I mean, it will work, but it won't look exactly how you want it to look or whatever. So you come on the front end. I'm not going to bother going that far with you on this at the moment, but you simply go to the, look, it's created an about page. So let's open with live server. Look at this. It's actually, look, it's created a version number for this thing. Desktop application helps owners estimate their business. Look at this. Including multi-state tax considerations for businesses with employees in different states. Okay. See, the AI has written in that as a safety thing from the developers of the AI, because they know that you haven't asked all the right questions yet, which is what I was talking about as far as security, and obviously they have to protect themselves legally because tax rates change, laws and stuff change, so that's your responsibility to make sure, you know, just double check everything. So at the moment I have used Claude, which is the AI. So Cursor is the IDE, and Claude is the agent that has created this app, okay? Now what you would probably do is, you've got two choices. You would either go to the front end, so that's the about page for the website, if it was going to be a website. So actually it has created the tax calculator as part of the website, but you can tell it, I want them to be separate, and it'll separate them out. But so now you see this? Right, so it's added all this into the front end. California, it's got states there. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. You've just seen how quickly I did all that, and I'm slightly retarded, and I managed to do this. So there's no excuse. If you think I'm a retard, and a lot of people do, there's no excuse for you to not be doing this yourself. And I'll tell you what, If someone rings you up or emails you and tells you that they're going to charge you to do this for you, tell them to fuck off. They might as well be an Indian scammer from Nigeria at this point. Because I've just shown you. That's how you do it. This is how you do it. So if you're a business manager, like say Grace Strong works for Steve Bennett, right? She's currently running around like a chicken with her head cut off, working till 5:30 in the morning and that, because I could be wrong, don't get me wrong, I'm assuming a lot of stuff here, but I'm assuming that she hasn't listened to me, right? She thinks AI is the devil, okay? And I understand all that. But the reality is, this is it. This will do all of that running around for you. This is it, okay? So there was one other, let me show you, there was something else I just thought about before. What do we got? We've got the website now. We've got the staff information. We've got the tax information for different states. Costs. So you start putting in your costs. So create a costs folder with several generic costs templates, something like that. So at the moment, the costs are probably tied up in one of these files. This is what I was talking about, where so the reality is that I'm not going to go much further with this app. Well, what I'm showing you here is how quickly have I done this. Right? Store HTML, open my live. So it's created. So those HTML pages, they are the website pages. Now, obviously I haven't put this on my own domain name yet, but I could real easy, like within 10 minutes I could have this thing on my domain name, URL, and have it working. Okay. Oh look, the Natalie G Windows collection. Oh, it's because I've got her name in there, of course. Right. She's not that famous. No. So, you see what I'm talking about here? That's what I was going to do. I was going to say, so now see, look at this. It's putting in more things than I would have even considered at the start. Okay. So, look, it's creating README files too, right? You know why it's doing that? Because I've done apps on this laptop before, and I started to realise that after an hour, I'll finish the video with this, after an hour or two of working and playing around with stuff and adding features and editing stuff and cleaning stuff up and whatnot, this gets very full, the chat. Okay, so when you scroll up, it actually doesn't show you the whole conversation. Or maybe it does now. It didn't earlier. No, it doesn't see it. It only goes back up to there. But the whole chat is in the memory. So it starts to get bogged down the more you do. You know, you can work for a couple of hours before it starts to become a problem, but it starts to become very boggy. It's not just that it gets slowed down because there's so much chat going on, but also the complexity of the project starts to get a bit much. So what you need to do every couple of hours or every hour, or probably every 2 hours really, is close the chat and delete I won't get into that, but there's a folder where in the roaming data that the cache for the chat, you can delete what's in there to clean it all out, okay? And when you close the chat and close the IDE, when you close the cursor, it kind of cleans out the cache and clears it out. So when you open the project back up, but the problem with that is that the chat won't remember what you were doing, okay? So that's where these README files come in very handy. So before you close it up and clean it out, what you do is you say, you'd say something like, you don't even have to say this, what we're going to, end of day. We need to revise revise what we did today in this session and write a very detailed .md or readme. The correct term is wireframe. Okay. For new team members starting tomorrow for new features and functions. So can you write directory? You'll just start to learn these terms very quickly. You don't have to write this in there, you can just stop. I'll just stop there. Can you write a wireframe for me? Now, Gemini is a bit more detailed for this sort of thing, so I'll switch over to Gemini Pro Agent, okay, and now I'll send that to Gemini instead of Claude. This is a really handy tip for the end of the session, okay? And then, I'm not going to do it in this video, but when you open the project back up, that README will be here. And the first thing you say to the chat when you open it up is, can you please read the README? I will now create a README file in the root directory. So this is the root directory, this one here, which is this folder, that we created at the very start. That's the root dir. And it's already got a README in it, so this might be interesting, what it does here. Except, we'll just see what it does. Oh, look at that, it's full. Oh, so it's editing the current README, I think. It seems the previous attempt didn't create the file, let me create. So I've noticed that Gemini struggles sometimes creating files and stuff for some reason, I'm not entirely sure why. But here's the thing, Gemini's already actually created it, but it's having difficulty executing the commitment of that file. So for some reason, when you switch it back over to Claude, it will see it seems this tool is unable to. Gemini does that. I don't know why. It's retarded as fuck. But you can just switch it back to Claude and then click question mark. And from memory, this was working last time I tried to do it like this. Claude, for some reason, manages to get the tools to work. I think it's because when I brute forced, or it's not really brute forced, but when I forced this software to bypass some default settings, Claude was happy to do that, but Gemini is not. Oh, there we go. See? It's been successfully created. Right. So Claude is a bit more brutal. Gemini is a bit more thorough. Okay. So working between Claude and Gemini, and apparently GPT's just upgraded their shit too. But everyone's going to be upgrading all the time now. So this video is good for today, but within a month you'll need to refresh your knowledge base as far as this technology, because it's moving that quickly. But if you haven't started doing it, this is really just to get you off your ass, stop you being retarded, and download the software and start using it for yourself. Okay. Anyone telling you not to, or scaring you away from AI or whatever, and you're trying to run a business or want to start a business, they are fucking you. They're fucking with you, mate. Alright, you've got to use this stuff. Yeah, the power is yours. Power to the people. Yeah, amen.